Hello and a happy St. Patrick's Day to one and all. You are very welcome along to the Green Corner. My name is Tom Nugent and I am joined by some of the great minds of Irish racing. Patrick Mullins, Davy Russell and Jane Mangan join me on the line. We're live each evening during the Cheltenham Festival on HRI's YouTube and Facebook channels to look back on the day that was and look ahead to the following day's action at Prestbury Park. And what a day it was. 6 out of 7 for the Irish trained horses over in Cheltenham. Davy, we may as well take over the winner circle there. It's a pretty easy game at the minute.
I can't understand why there isn't rows of cars beating the horns down through the towns and villages of Ireland. We're just absolutely taking over. This is really it's so pleasing to see from the breeders the whole way through. We're just, it's a rout.
It is a rout. And Jane, I don't think we're kind of over egging things by saying it's probably just another chapter in a pretty golden period in Irish national hunt racing. Would that be fair to say?
That is for sure. And Davy's mentioned not only training them and riding them, but breeding them and producing them as well. And, you know, in Ireland, we saw the Dublin Racing Festival. We see it at Christmas. We think we're good. But when you go to Cheltenham and you just put them in their place, that is very satisfying. And I thought before this year's festival, I questioned whether, you know, there was ever a stronger or higher quality of horse in this country. And judging by the numbers yesterday and today, I think we could be at an all-time high.
Well, it was a brilliant day for the Irish at Cheltenham, and it was a brilliant day for Closutton too. A horse called Monkfish got things off to a flyer, and we're going to take a look back at his win here now.
Chase, the riderless Acladaria to contend with for Monkfish at the final fence, gets in tight, hits it halfway up, sends Birch flying in 1,000 directions, but he's 4 lengths ahead of Fiddler on the Roof, who's sticking on willingly, but he won't get any closer, and Monkfish driven out to make sure. Drawing away in the closing stages, emphatic. Monkfish takes the Brown Advisory for Susanna Ritchie, Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Fiddler on the Roof chased him in vain. The big breakaway in third.
Sent off the 1-4 favourite, Patrick. He maybe gave backers a little few beads of sweat on their brow, jumping his way around, but he got the job done eventually.
Yeah, not enjoyable viewing. I mean, for a horse who we all said his jumping was his strong point, Paul gave him a squeeze. The second he put down, he came out of Paul's hands at the ditch top of the hill. He put down again on Paul, and I'm not sure what he did at the last. I don't think he did anything. He just got it through it. So, look, we know he can jump better than that. I'm not sure why he jumped so lackadaisical. Perhaps you could say he was out in front on his own. Paul mentioned the car, but he'd gone around 11% on his own in front. So, for whatever reason, he wasn't on song today, and he still won, and that's a sign of a good horse. He had a couple of mistakes there that, you know, you could have said if he got beaten, that's why he got beaten, and he still won 5 or 6 lengths. So not his best performance, but we know that he's better than that, and the fact that he was able to still win says a lot.
Davy, is it possible that for such a big horse, a turning track like Cheltenham maybe just got him out of his comfort zone a little bit in the jumping department?
No, I don't think so. I wasn't a bit surprised that Paul mentioned afterwards that there was little things that he was looking at, because you could see him going to the second. He was just backing back underneath Paul, and Paul was in a difficult position at the time. So maybe on a normal day you'd hit him a tip down the shoulder and say, "Go on about your business." But he then had the decision. He gives him a tip down the shoulder and sets him alight at the second, and you know he could just get going way too early. I was kind of in a similar position with Envoy Allen last year a little bit. I didn't want to get him going too early, and I feel Paul probably had the same problem today, but you know, both rider and horse overcame them things. He just looked like he was gawking at things. You could see him, he was gawking, and he just wasn't going forward at his obstacles. But it all came, you know, he just showed his class. He's just pure raw talent. And I think Paul actually, you know, after them couple of mistakes, he got into a lovely rhythm, and then the last was just the last. I think the loose horse laying on him a little bit and took his eye off it a bit. I think he'll overcome all them things in time.
Jane, a really good performance from a number of Irish novices so far this week already. They've really announced themselves on the scene, Monkfish being one, but your banker of the meeting, Bob Ollinger, being another in the opening race of the day.
Yes, he was banker for many people. I think he went into notebooks when Patrick Mullins managed to win a bumper on him last year. He looked good that day, and he's been looking pretty darn good. Just gets you excited about what Fernie Hollow could do when he returns next year, considering he beat him in Gorham Park in a maiden hurdle. But never in doubt. Rachel was good. She could make a few manoeuvres, but ultimately he was by far the best horse in the race, and that was the first of her brace. And look, it really set the tone for the day, because I would love if Appreciated and himself met. Wouldn't that be quite the clash? Well, we started yesterday with an emphatic win, and the same today.
Yeah, well, we had some really stellar performances, but I'm sure one of the real great stories of the game today was Paul Hennessy, the toast of East Kilkenny tonight. Heaven help us. We're going to take a look back at that win there.
And it's Heaven Help Us storming up the Cheltenham Hill. She's drawing further and further clear. Heaven Help Us runs riot to win the Coral Cup. Craig Nish ran off a second ahead of T Clipper. Very close for fourth between Janica, the Grey Sayer running on. Then Guard Your Dreams, Palmer's Hill, Don Levant and Birchdale.
Bred, trained and led up by Paul Hennessy, and a guard of honour. I think most big winners hadn't seen that so far this week. It just goes to show, Patrick, how popular those connections are.
For me, this was an escape from the predictable. I think this is what you need for Cheltenham to stay popular. There are so many big names, big operations winning all the time now, and I just got such a kick out of seeing Paul Hennessy. Paul Hennessy, I saw a picture a couple of weeks ago, Paul and my father back in primary school. It's a black and white photo, but you know, they grew up together. Paul would always be, he'd only be down the road, he's between us and Gorham, and he's an absolute character. I'm so delighted for him, and I'm just gutted that we won't be able to party, because I know, well, he'd throw a fantastic party. But likewise, Richie Condon, I'm actually Richie's landlord, so I'll be hopeful to get the rent off.
best to look with that one, though, Patrick.
You're not giving him a month off.
But I think this for me was the result of the day. I like you said, the jockeys came out, gave Richie a guard of honour in. That doesn't happen all the time, and a very, very special win.
Very good. I'm sure he had a text on his phone when he came back into the weight room. Any chance of this month's rent there as soon as possible. Jane, only 2 horses in training for Paul Hennessy. And as Patrick said, these are the stories that we need. This is incredible.
Yes, I'd say what the text message on Richard's phone is probably the rent has doubled for next month. No, definitely this was an endearing story. And these kind of stories give everybody watching just the belief that it could happen for them, that you don't need hundreds, you don't need massive numbers, you just need that one horse to make your dream come true. And Paul has bred this horse himself. This mare has taken him places, as he said, that he never dreamed of going. And that is a wonderful, wonderful story. He knows the owner, John Turner, a long time through the greyhounds, of course, but Richard as well. Richard would have grown up with the Davy Condon banner and Paul Town, and probably the stories being told around his house. Liam Burke is across the field. Jonathan would have grown up with him. They would have went to school together, and Jonathan finished third in this race as well. So it brings it home that Cheltenham might seem a different planet and a different league, but ultimately, if you have the horse to take you there, anyone can be competitive.
Yeah, Davy, I mean, talk about bringing a bit of romance back into sport. We see so many, as Patrick said, so many big operations. But as a wise man said to me recently, if you can find a star, they'll take you to the moon and back. And I think Paul Hennessy has definitely found a star with Heaven Help Us. Yeah,
well, it just shows the importance of the racing industry in our country. So I just give you the small little clutters. So where Richie Condon lives, there is a church. And that is it. There is nothing else in the area. So you have Davy Condon, Liam Burke, Johnny Burke, Mike Condon. You have Richie down the road. Jane is only down the road from them, and that is a rural part of Ireland. And then you have Paul Hennessy's part of the country, whereas Patrick would allude to it's nothing but a crossroads, isn't that right, Patrick? And you have Mags, you have Tom, you have the home place where Don runs. So that'll just tell you the importance of Irish racing to the rural part of Ireland. So it's fantastic. It's just another pat on the back for the Irish racing industry and the places that it can bring you.
Yeah, congratulations to the Hennessy's. Hopefully they can enjoy it as much as possible. We're going to move on now to talk about the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Another mare with Kilkenny connections, bred and born by Jerry Purcell and owned by a syndicate based in South Kilkenny. Put the Kettle On was spectacular in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. We're going to take a look at her win now.
Champion Chase, Grenadine on the outer, Chacun Pour Soi poised against the rail, looking for a seam through. Notebook turns in fourth, and then New Bay Negra. Here's the penultimate fence, Put the Kettle On, joined by Chacun Pour Soi. Grenadine on the left, New Bay Negra takes fourth from Notebook and So Royal. Chacun Pour Soi at the last, jumping on from Put the Kettle On. New Bay Negra is staying on stoutly with Grenadine, Chacun Pour Soi. The mare is rallying though, Put the Kettle On is fighting back. New Bay Negra forced to switch, closing in. Put the Kettle On, noses ahead. New Bay Negra closing. Put the Kettle On, wins again at the festival, and the mare fights them off to take the champion chase. New Bay Negra close up in second. Tight third between Grenadine and Chacun Pour Soi. And
she's always boiling. She can boil away, lads. Unbelievable. Thanks everybody. Thanks Billy.
She's always boiling. That's the first time I've heard that clip. Very good. Jane Mangan, Aidan Coleman said after the race he didn't want any of the plaudits. This was all down to a mare that was all guts and all heart. She was brilliant.
Yeah, so we saw that with Honeysuckle yesterday when they have the will to win, and Put the Kettle On has it in spades. Look, she loves Cheltenham. That's now her fourth visit there and her fourth win. But she was ridden brave, forward. There was no hiding place to Put the Kettle On. She put the pressure on every other horse. And I know Nubia Negra was closing. Chacun Pour Soi had his maybe an excuse, but ultimately, again, Put the Kettle On, put her head down when she needed to. And she's just such a star for the Dermodys who own her. I know they'd love to be there. They were celebrating the Arkle win last year, and the Connections had the option of the mares. But thankfully, they took on the boys and they took home the showpiece. Aidan Coleman's a Cork man, so he's an Irish man too. And Henry de Bromhead's horses continue to just thrive.
Patrick, Jane alluded to it there, that there was a small incident and Chacun Pour Soi only managed to finish third in the end. What's the verdict post-race?
Disappointed, very disappointed. They went steady. It was 2 seconds slower than Grand Annual, and obviously the way they were all bunched up over the second last, the last showed that it turned into a bit of a sprint. That shouldn't really have worked against our fella. Watching it, you wonder, just did he knock it up the hill? But in a slow down race, I can't buy that. To me, he hasn't performed. I think for me, I'm going to have to forgive him one day. I think he was off today for whatever reason. But all credit to the mare, and I think all credit to Aidan Coleman. You were saying there earlier, Aidan was going to give all credit to Put the Kettle On, but Aidan is a fantastic rider. And obviously Epatone ran a bit disappointing yesterday, and that was a big ride for him. So for him to come out and win the champion chase, that was a big win for him. And I was delighted he gave her a fantastic ride. He switched his stick there after the last. And look, it wasn't to be our day today, but again, I'm delighted for the syndicate that own her. I think again it's another good result for racing.
Righto, time to get everyone's moment of the day. Davy, what was your highlight from day 2 at the Cheltenham Festival?
It has to be the Tiger. I have the boxer shorts on. If you want to prove it, I'll do a little dance for you. But that for me is that is what it's all about. Like he's risen up from the ashes. Everybody had him wrote off. You know, we were so happy with him at home. Keith was just raving about him, and just the last couple of weeks, a little bit of sun on his back, the drier ground. Keith was good and aggressive with him out the gate, but the Tiger roared. I can only imagine people would be literally trying to get in over the railing to get at him today if the crowds were there. So I'm sure all around the world, the racing world, the actual outside world, they all just lifted. I think Tiger Roll would have lifted everybody today. He certainly did in our house, anyway.
I'm sure for a fact. Jane, what was your highlight of day 2?
Oh, well, look, I won't say the same as Davy, but I completely echo everything he said about that horse. He is a racing, if not national, icon, and I was absolutely thrilled to see him back. But heaven help us, as I said, look, I come from a small outfit myself, and it is lovely to see that if you have the raw material, a horse of that talent and that courageousness, that a small trainer and a young jockey can win even on the biggest stage.
Patrick?
No contest, heaven help us, for all the reasons I said earlier.
Brilliant stuff. Righto, let's move on to look ahead to day 3 at the Cheltenham Festival. Racing gets underway at 1:20 with the Marsh Novices Chase. And Davy, we'll start with you because an old friend of yours, Envoy Alain, tops the market. Is he as bomb-proof as he's looked so far this season over fences?
Yeah, absolutely. This is just a formality, really, and it'll take an act of God to stop him.
A formality. Leave it at that. Jane Mangan, would you agree?
Yeah, I think he's possibly the best horse in training, and I hope he proves it tomorrow.
The best horse in training, my God. And Patrick, is there anything maybe that could give him a fright?
No, but I do think Asterion Forlange is overpriced here. I think he's a high-class horse. Things haven't gone his way, but he jumps reasonably well with me in Leopardstown the last day, and if I had it again, I'd make more use of him. And I think 25-1 doesn't reflect the true chance he has.
Well, we're going to take a look back now quickly at his Ballymore hurdle win at last year's festival.
Easy work, though, is drawing up size. Russell yet to twitch. Envoy Alain now moving up to dispute third with Longhouse Poet, who's under pressure. Then the big breakaway with the red cap from Mossy Fed. 2 out. The big getaway still in front, still clinging on to the lead. In behind now, slipstreaming into the straight. Easy work. Russell now shakes up Envoy Alain, asks him for an effort, and suddenly he's got 4 lengths to make up. Into the straight they come with 1 left to jump in the Ballymore. It's the big getaway, Yellow Sleeves. Out on the right, easy work. Here goes Envoy Alain now, beginning to hit his stride on the near side, bearing down on them. There'll be 3 in a line at the last, but Envoy Alain jumps to the front. He lands a length and a half clear. Easy work is chasing him off up the run-in, but it's Envoy Alain over 3 lengths clear and galloping on remorselessly. The banker of the week, a star very much in the ascendancy. Envoy Alain, emphatic, wins the Ballymore. Easy work is second, the big getaway third, and the big breakaway was back in fourth, and they were clear of Mossy Fed.
Well, he was good in point-to-points. He was excellent in bumpers. He was top class in novice hurdles, and he's been even better over fences. We're going to take a look at his run last time out at Punchestown now.
A couple of lengths heading towards the second last fence. Envoy Alain, the blue cap. On the outside is Feast to Dairy. And slipstreaming them, close up in third is Denny Lacey, Envoy Alain, and Feast to Dairy come away, not much between them. Denny Lacey has now been pushed and shoved along and losing contact as they swing in. Good run to the final fence. In the Sky Bet Kalani Novice Chase, and it's Envoy Alain in front. And cracking on the outside is Feast to Dairy as Envoy Alain opens up a couple of lengths advantage over Feast to Dairy. They're clear of Denny Lacey, and coming down to the final fence, it is Envoy Alain in front from Feast to Dairy, and at the last Envoy Alain over. Feast to Dairy is having another go on the outside, but Envoy Alain picks up. Envoy Alain, a one-off, stretches his immaculate unbeaten career record in the Sky Bet Kalani Novice Chase. Feast to Dairy second, third and last Denny Lacey.
Davy, he's a horse you know so well, and before we move on, I just wanted to get a sense, because there'll be a lot of people who'll be tuning in this week who aren't regular viewers of racing, and they'll see people talking about a very good horse and maybe see him win by a long distance and not really know why. What sets Envoy Alain apart from his contemporaries?
He just pretty much has everything. He's got a fantastic attitude. He's not the most straightforward. He can be a little bit quirky, so you wouldn't want to be rushing into him and taking things for granted with him. But he just has a huge amount of ability. He just covers ground. He's got up power. and he's got a very, very good brain. He can adapt to things very, very fast. And that clip doesn't really show what went on in that race, because there was loose horses everywhere. There was horses falling, and it just makes no difference to him. He takes it all in. He's just very, very good. And I think the drier ground will actually help him a little bit, would you believe?
Interesting. Righto, 2:30 tomorrow is the Ryanair, and Min tops the betting, but it's 5-1 the field. Jane Mangan, it could be an open enough Ryanair.
It's a very good Ryanair. It's a deep Ryanair, and Willie Mullins holds many aces in this pack. And I'm not surprised Paul Townend has gone for Min. He's the prolific Grade 1 winner. He's the winner of it last year. Just one horse I think is overpriced here is St. Calvados, because he was narrowly beaten by Min last year. I think Frodon and Aputar were third and fourth respectively last year. That's how deep last year's renewal was. And this year, Connections with St. Calvados have tried to make a Gold Cup horse out of him. He just doesn't settle over that trip, and he doesn't stay. He finished fourth in the King George, and he fell in the Cotswold Chase. Now he's back to 2.5 miles. He might just ruffle the Irish feathers, but Patrick will tell us more about the Willie Mullins contingent. But Min is the most solid horse in here, and he deserves to be top of the market.
Patrick, nobody saw the John Durkin really because it was run in the fog, but we believe from your reports that he was pretty good.
Well, I saw enough. I was very happy with that. But look, Min, Paul has chosen Min because he's won 8 Grade 1s, and Mellon has won just a beginner's chase, and Allo has won a Grade 2 in a beginner's chase. So look, that was what made Paul's mind up. Min is a winner as such, and he won this race last year. I just wonder, at 10 years old, Cheltenham is, you know, there's a reason young and fun rhyme. Older horses struggle to win at Cheltenham, so I just wonder, is Min maybe starting to crest his summit of his ability? I thought he was maybe lucky to win last year. I thought if St. Calvados had jumped the last better, he'd have got up Paul's inside, and I think he'd have beat him. Allo is a horse that we've always expected more of. To be honest, he's let us down a little bit. But perhaps that's because we've been running over the wrong trip. Willie's been running over 3 miles, and he hasn't quite been seeing it out. He's been working particularly well in the last couple of weeks. And obviously Rachel Blackmore, Woman on Form, is on board. But frankly, he hasn't put a performance yet that says he'll win the Ryanair chase. You know, I thought beating Ellie May, giving her only £2 at Thurles, was a good performance, but was it a Ryanair winning chase performance? Probably not. I think his race is made for Mellon. I think he goes on his track. I think he's a better fencer than he was a hurdler. Cheek piece is back on, a strongly run race, good ground. I think everything is in every box is ticks for him, and I think he could finally make it 5th time lucky and get his head in front of Cheltenham Festival.
Davy, how do you see the Ryanair playing out?
This one for the English. A horse called Imperial Aura is going to win the Ryanair. He's a very talented horse. He's a course and distance winner from last year. Kim Bailey's having a wonderful time of it. His horse didn't spark today, but I think this horse will put the English on the board tomorrow.
Quick word on the Stayers Hurdle at 3:05. Paisley Park tops the betting, robbed of another clash here, Jane, with Time Hill out. But it is a good field in behind Paisley Park if he wasn't on top of his game.
Yeah, he's the banker that didn't cash in last year. That's the blip in his career, but he did win at Ascot last time, beating Roxana and Time Hill, and he does look back to somewhere near his best. But the Irish are well represented here. Sire du Burlay, Fury Road, the Storyteller, and of course Flooring Porter, who was so impressive at Leopardstown. But if I was going for an each way shout in this, it would be the Storyteller. He's a dinger of a horse. He's so consistent, whether it's fences or hurdles. He's extremely versatile. Davy won on him at the festival before. I think he was second at the festival last year. So he's my each way play in this. But do watch out for Flooring Porter, for Gavin Cromwell and Jonathan Moore. He's going to be a front runner. He's not an easy ride by any means, but he's only 6, and that performance at Christmas was pretty emphatic.
Very good. Patrick, you run Bacardi's in here. Anything to give the top of the market a bit of a fright? Or?
No, look, I think if Paisley Park turns up, he wins. I think Storyteller is probably, is probably overpriced. But I think if you're looking for one to play at a bigger price, McCartney's is a great bet. He always runs well at Cheltenham. He was third in this race last year. He was going to be third in this race maybe 2 years ago, and he fell at last. He was placed in champion bumper with Ruby. He hates heavy ground. I discount his last couple of runs. He's got a tongue strap on, so people help him. He'll be ridden to run well. If you can get someone to pay you 4 places, I don't know if they do that in this race, but I think there's worse 33-to-1 shots out there.
Davy, is everyone forgetting last year's winner, Lisnagar Oscar? Are we putting that down as a fluke?
Yeah, I suppose we haven't seen much of him this year. His reappearance was good without being awesome. He's definitely got his life. He's definitely got a life. He's back after a wind operation, I think, or some sort of he had some sort of a setback. Look, I'm the Storyteller is the horse for me. It's just, if there was Storyteller underpants, I'd have them on tomorrow. So I just
David, do you ever just buy your own underpants or?
No, I do. I buy my own. Yeah, I'm capable of doing that. But he just is. He's a real favourite in the yard. He never fails to put his best foot forward, and he's so consistent all year long. He's won the James Nicholson and Down Royal. He'd whether it be fences or hurdles. He had a great run in Leopardstown over hurdles, and he loves Cheltenham.
Very good. The Mayor's Novice is at 4:15. Patrick, your dad runs a handful in it. Can they get in the mix?
Yeah, look, Roy Kahana has managed to beat both of them. Gal was I think the race the last day was a bit tactical, and Rosie's Hollow won. Roy Kahana was second, Down Mare was third. I think those 3 mares, there's not much between them. I think look and running is going to be the difference between them. For me, I know Roy Kahana beat Hookup before, but I thought Hookup's race in the Leopardstown Dub Race Festival behind Appreciated Blue Lord, I think that's the best form in this race, and I think Hookup might be able to spring a bit of a surprise and turn the tables with Roy Kahana. Lovely stuff. Jane, is there anything else on day 3 at the Cheltenham Festival that you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Well, the Kimure and the Pertemps are minefields. So honestly, tomorrow is a difficult day for punters. I'd love if the Irish could replicate something like they did today. But if I was to go for something in the Pertemps, I like the Boss's Oscar. Now his rating of 151 is the handicapper must think he's a Grade 1 horse, but Jordan Gainford is on board taking 7 off, and he's a very promising young man. And it would not surprise me at all if he had a big day tomorrow, because he's also on Emmett Mullins as the shunter over fences. So big day for Jordan Gainford.
Yeah, big bonus on offer there for connections as well. And Davy, anything else standing out for you on day 3?
Yeah, Mount Ida will win the Kimure.
Works well, will win when wanted. That's it.
The price will just plummet after that.
Righto, my thanks to the team here, Patrick, Jane and Davy, and of course thanks to you for watching. We're back for our final installment of the Green Corner tomorrow on Horse Racing Ireland's Facebook and YouTube channels, but between now and then, good luck.
Ole, ole.